Welcome to another episode of Bluespring Out Loud. I'm pleased to have three of our partners here, three of our partner firms from different parts of the country. On the left, my far left, is Jim Wilson from Capital Planning in Sacramento. Mike Frazier, right next to me. Bedell Frazier in the Bay Area, outside of San Francisco. And John Ritter from Ritter Danaher in Cincinnati. What we're talking about today is choosing the right partner for your RIA, and whether this is the right time to do it or not. It's always good to know and to plan ahead. So with that, I want to turn it over to these guys and let them kind of talk about their experience, how they made the choice, the process they went through, and some of their thoughts, because there's a lot to think about when you do this. But let's start with talking about your journey to find a strategic partner and why you ultimately chose Bluespring. And I guess, Mike, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I never planned on selling our practice and seeking out a partner. In fact, I bought someone else's firm. I'm technically G2 in the industry, and I have two junior partners, so a succession was in place. But the triggering event for me personally was an industry event, and it's when Schwab and TD merged. And those are our two custodian partners. And I just recognized that, I mean, it's an evolutionary industry for sure. It's disruptive. And you could just tell that we needed to scale to continue to be successful, because what got us here is not going to get us there. So, we decided, I felt like I needed to educate myself, for our partnership and also our clients, of what's out there. Do I really need to do a partnership? And I quickly dismissed so many firms out there because it just wasn't a good fit for us. Culture, cookie cutter. There's nothing cookie cutter about what we do. I'd never heard of Bluespring before the initial meeting. And I hit it off immediately. I mean, when you and I first met, and it's like, this is a platform for entrepreneurs. It's going to allow us to be creative and do a better version of ourselves and provide more value for our clients. And I think get us to that next stage of this evolutionary industry.
Well, you hit on the right word, which is the entrepreneurial, angle of this. Is so many of the firms, they were going to plug you into their box. I like Star Trek, and I kept thinking about the Borg, that they're going to allow one or two things from you and everything else is going to go away, to be assimilated. And that just wasn't me. I think at that point, I just wouldn't have done anything.
Absolutely.
But finding Bluespring and finding that there was a platform where you could actually be entrepreneurial, maintain your image, maintain your brand, maintain the direction that you've always been going, that was a huge step.
Yeah.
Frankly, when we were looking, we were more just looking at what are the metrics that are out there, what's the valuations, have the valuations gotten consistent, which actually was good news that they had. But doing nothing was really about where we were probably going to land until we talked to Bluespring.
Right. And don't you feel like that, instead we sold our practice, right? We did, but this is really much more of a partnership. I feel like this is an investment in us, and I legitimately feel like a partner in this relationship.
Totally, and that's where we started as well. When we first started looking, I wasn't sure if we were going to be an acquirer or if we wanted to be an acquirer. And I knew the industry was changing, and we wanted to change with it, and this is what made a lot of sense. And it was really the time that we spent with you, Stuart, and understanding the idea of taking our business and still keeping it, but getting some scale and really taking it to the next level.
Well, let me ask a question. As the old guy at the table, I don't get to say that very often, but you guys are younger. Most people perceive that when you sell your business, you're 60, 65, and you're done. And you guys are far from done, especially having spent time with you. Keeping up with you is a challenge. But what about the age thing, and what about the stage? At what point is the right point?
I think it's completely different for everybody's own situation. I've got three other partners, and each one of us are in a little bit different stage of life, although we're really similar. I pride myself on being an entrepreneur and trying to understand how we could do that within this situation made a lot of sense. So it was just the next evolution. So it's not a done for me. It wasn't sell and done. Yeah. It was the next step. Yeah. And it was time to take a next step. And that's where we were looking. Are we going to acquire for the next step, or are we going to partner with somebody? And after doing the numbers and looking at things and really seeing the quality of Bluespring, it made sense to be a partner, but not a partner and I'm out.
Right. And we'll acquire together.
Yeah, now we can do it together.
And we got the capital.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll never retire. But, I was looking for what's next, the next stage of my career. And to me, it's all about intellectual challenge. There's so much that we've already done. And I felt like we hit sort of a glass ceiling for growth and sustainability. But I just love the opportunity of being part of this entrepreneurial platform to create something that's going to be a magnet for other people in the industry that have the same, values and vision for what they want to do for themselves and for their clients.
Yeah, very similar. I don't plan on ever retiring. It's there's only so much golf you can play. But I looked at it as like, for us to take the next steps, for us to be able to get the proper G2 people in place, to be able to move this from 4 people all in their 50s that are our primary advisors to layering in people in their 40s and their 30s, we needed a partner to do that. And I think the partnership aspect is so crucial because, we had a 9-person organization. You've got, 12 people. We now have other partners that we can go to. And I mean, we text, we meet, we're learning from each other, and firms at different sizes, different experiences, different locales. And that's really been hugely helpful.
Yeah. Collaboration.
Totally, and that's point on. We have all gone to industry meetings or events before in the past, and we've worked together, but it's different now because we are all the same firm, but yet we still have our own individuality still. So it's nice to be able to partner and have it all roll up the same direction.
Yeah, and I mean the industry's going after our model, right? I mean the fee-only model. Incentives are aligned with our clients and our firms, and I think that's super important. And I mean we are agents of change, and this industry has been nothing but disruptive, and that's going to continue. And it's important for us to try to get in front of things. And I think Bluespring fosters that creativity, and that risk-taking, calculated risks, but we're willing to take some risks.
Whether you were looking or not, because I like the fact that because when I sold my business, I wasn't looking either.
Sure.
But what were the qualities that you would look for in an acquirer? What drove you towards Bluespring versus other models? Because there's a lot of activity out in this space right now.
For me, the first one's culture.
Yeah.
Everything starts and stops with culture. Being part of a team is critically important. And I didn't want to change completely. Being able to keep our brand and our name and to be able to be in a spot where all of our staff is still employed. They all had the same compensation as they did before and after. They have the same job duties. Was really important to me. I wanted the consistency for the clients, and I wanted the consistency for the team.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that in this format and still be entrepreneurial.
I totally agree with that. And the other part, I think, Bluespring's a startup. And I felt like, wow, this is an opportunity to be a part of something, and again, being an agent for change, but to create something. And it's kind of like, we're building the plane as we're flying it. And one thing that I did not anticipate was that our team, my employees, they looked at, I think they saw their career path just get a little longer, wider, and shinier because it was no longer my firm. They felt like they were a part of something, bigger and special. And I think that's been really good for our team. And our clients are happy because we kept our team. Our name, my name's still on the door. The way we run the business hasn't changed. In fact, we're spending more time doing client-facing tasks, right? Providing better service. We were able to outsource a lot of the things that we generally didn't want to have to do anymore. And running a small business is hard. Running a small business in California, really hard. Yeah.
Well, and I think, to echo what Jim said, the culture side, it was interesting when you could see where the culture would not have been a fit. We had quite a few firms we talked to that one of the first things they would say is, well, you'd be able to fire half your staff. I'm like, these are literally family members in some instances.
Literally.
And people have been with us for a decade or more. And I think the culture here of, let's buy really good businesses that are doing it well, and we're going to help you do it even better, and we're going to have you around other firms that are similar to you. It was just a great fit for us. I had one firm that I talked to that I literally went to their website, and I saw every single person was in the same color tie and same color jacket. And I'm like, that's not me. I'm not a conformist. And frankly, if you see me in a tie, I'm going to a wedding or a funeral. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that ties into the word, and you used it a little earlier, I think, Jim, was the entrepreneurial. We've all used it because you're all great entrepreneurs. But does joining a bigger firm or affiliating with and becoming partners in a firm with multiple locations and multiple great RIAs around the country, does that take away your entrepreneurial juice or energy?
No, I think it fuels more because we're able to pick each other's brains, and solve problems together, right? And I think that we've got the benefit of having access to the best of the best in the industry and just run ideas by each other and, sort of build some projects together in collaboration. I mean, we do a lot of that on the West Coast.
Oh,
Yeah, I think the fact that we have people in different areas, different locales, that I'm excited when they're doing well because they truly are partners, and I'm financially vested in them, they're financially vested in me.
Right.
So it's been, I think, a step that was, frankly, we didn't think enough about. It's been a hidden benefit that was out there, the collaboration, that I think as you get together in meetings like this and we're talking with folks, you find your peer group and you find the people that you want to emulate, and they've solved problems that you have, we've solved problems that they have, and we're all just better together.
Makes total sense. And we would have probably come together as peers just to be able to talk around a coffee table or something anyway, but to be able to do it as partners and to drive for the same economic goal has power to me.
Okay, but I want you to be fully disclosed here, and it wasn't a coffee table you were going to meet around. It was at the bar for some bourbons. But
It might have been. It might have been the bar with the.
that's a whole different subject.
that's a different
We'll get
topic.
there. But you all are really unique. You have great wealth management firms, huge RIAs, very different, very distinct. I'm curious what impact this has had at the client level, because again, your value, you're all providing a great service to your clients. You're all doing planning and managing money and just providing all the life planning that they need. But what about that? What's changed at the client level?
I'm happy to jump in
Sure.
because it's, and I have a feeling we're all going to have the same experience. At a client level, it's been nothing. They were concerned at the beginning, just saying, "Are you still going to be here?" And as soon as they knew we weren't retiring, we weren't leaving, Bluespring is very much in the background. Nothing changed for them. Assets are still at Schwab. Planning software is still the same. Everything is still the same.
Bluespring's invisible to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Intentionally.
Yeah.
And that's the way we've kept it, and it's worked out really well.
While being invisible, have there been certain tasks that they've been able to take off we've been able to take off your plate at Bluespring?
For sure. I mean, from an employee standpoint, I mean, HR, the benefits are much better than I was able to provide as a small business owner.
Yeah.
Accounting, we've gone through marketing strategies, IT, a lot of those areas that are not client facing, we've been able to either offload or at least lean on, that have a better resource and process than we were able to do. And because of that, I think the client experience has gotten better. And I have a client advisory board that we meet with, twice a year. And they said that they feel like that the service has only improved since we did the deal. Which
I think leverage and scale. That's the things that we've been able to do.
Leverage and
A lot of things that we wanted to leverage. A little bit on pricing, but definitely on the backroom functions. It allows people to do what they want to do a little bit more rather than things they had to do.
right.
Yeah, it's you said it, the non-client facing activities, and that's where if we can free up time on that front to be able to be in front of clients more often, out there, building the business more often, that's what we all should be doing.
Yeah. And I think this deal, this partnership allowed me to rethink what is it that I want to be when I grow up,
Yeah.
And so we can really focus on the things we really love. And that's where the passion lies. And that's where greatness lives. And I feel like that we're just scratching the surface on that.
For sure. Totally.
Well, you've all been on the Bluespring platform for a bit now, for a while. I'd be curious how you feel about the future of your business and of the industry.
I've never been more bullish on Bluespring than right now. I feel like that we are the right model. We're the platform, the only platform in the marketplace for entrepreneurs. And, I've said it a lot. We want to create a platform for the 50-somethings.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a solution for the 20s and 30s, 40s, and as well as the 60s and 70s for successions. But for us, that we're in the sweet spot of our career. We have the relationships. We have the runway, but the question is, what do we want to do? What's going to drive us? And I feel like that we're creating something really special that's, we've had the structure, we've chalked the lines of the field, but we get to call the plays and decide how we're going to be running our businesses and collaborate together. And I think that's going to bring out the best of the best.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. I mean, it totally makes sense to be able to do what we're doing. And we just got done with having an advisory board meeting, very impactful. It was nice to see people come across from different areas in the United States and have similar goals, similar aspirations, and to get on the same page. And we can lean on each of those to do different areas that we're trying to all improve. So it was really, it's really positive. I think there's a lot of good things going on right now.
And two words that I would describe our session in the last 24 hours: honesty and integrity. And those are so important for our business, any business.
Yeah, I'll throw transparency in there also.
Yeah.
It was just, everything was on the table. That's the way it should be.
And all of that together built trust,
Absolutely.
which was what we were trying to accomplish.
Those are all really important words.
Yeah.
Totally. Great. I'm writing them down. I'm taking notes. You guys, it's strange for me because now I'm on this side of the table. I've sold my company, but now we've bought 30 companies or whatever it's been and growing fast and going to keep doing so. But for all of you, it was a one-time experience.
Yeah.
And what do you wish you knew going into it? What advice would you give maybe one of our podcast listeners that they should be thinking about? And I know this wasn't part of our pre-planned questions,
Sure.
but I think a curveball is always helpful. So
I think our businesses are going to change. You have a choice whether you want to make them change or you're going to let somebody else make them change. And I think that's what really kind of drove my decisions. I knew it was going to change. So going into it with an open mind, exploring, and I would say being honest with yourself. What do you want? What do you want during the sale? What do you want during the kind of stay with the company and work out type of a deal? And then what do you want your glide path to be when you exit?
Right.
Those are important, but be really, you mentioned transparency, but you got to be transparent with yourself too.
Well, and I think so many of us have been in the industry a very long time. I mean, this will be 30 years for me starting next month. And, we love certain aspects of what we do. And there's other aspects we really, frankly, would like to go give away.
Yeah.
And, figuring out how you can move from a, kind of the doing standpoint, the advising standpoint, but over time, moving more into the mentoring role and the coaching and bringing that next generation of advisors in, that's exciting. And that's something that I think, we all have passion around our firms, continuing to grow them, continue to make them more scalable. But getting that next generation of advisors in, it's crucial. And it's what kind of gets me up in the morning. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Our industry is one of the few that really shine a light on age and experience, right? And I think that's what makes us so valuable, and it's going to be important for the next generation. It's a disruptive industry. These are disruptive times. Change is inevitable. You want to be on the right side of change, and I feel like that's what we're doing.
what about growth? And I know we only have a few minutes left, but with growth, growth can be organic, can be inorganic. Is that something you've pondered, you've thought about? Is inorganic growth making acquisitions? Because I know you said that was something you were considering, Jim. Is that something that's important?
Yeah, I think it's important to look at that as well. As we all know, we have a lot of aging advisors in our space. And to John's point about bringing in the next level, I think we can get some of that through acquisitions.
Yeah.
I think that's important. And we want to be able to coach them and mentor them along the way. But I think that's a key piece of growth.
So, I mean, we did a tuck-in last year, with a sole proprietor, someone who I've known for 20 plus years. I knew that ultimately, that I would be the successor because it was just a great cultural investment philosophy fit. You're right. Baby boomers are retiring. They're getting older. Not everyone has a succession plan. So I think that we're creating a platform that's just going to be a natural for a lot of them to just jump on board and not have to, relinquish control completely, but able to do it gracefully on their terms. And I think that's really strategic.
Well, when you look at the succession plan, I thought when we started our company 10 years ago, I thought we had a succession plan because we're four of us.
Yeah.
And we were all kind of in our mid 40s and hey, obviously that's a succession plan. But as this industry changes, as multiples changes, as people's lives change, that's not as easy to have. That succession isn't quite as easy as it looked like it was going to be. It's an internal succession.
Internal
it's
succession
really
is
hard these
It's
days.
largely been taken off the table.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a sizable firm at any level, it's just going to be too much money for those people in your firm to buy you out.
I was part of an internal succession, right? I bought someone else's firm, but that was, when the firm was at 100 million, now at 700 million and what multiples are. And living in the Bay Area, my junior partners, they're raising a young family. It's expensive, right? Life's expensive. So you're absolutely right. And that's where, finding a succession plan and a platform like we found with Bluespring is so important because we don't compromise our values. We don't compromise how we do it. In fact, we're empowering ourselves to extrapolate and do more of that, right? And attract more people like our group.
And hopefully we're empowering ourselves and attracting the next gen because the G2s are the future of this industry. So I know that's a big part of our focus at Bluespring is to help nurture, help develop, and help ultimately create the future leaders of what is an amazing industry.
And I would add, Bluespring has a number of dynamic young women too. And I think that is so huge.
Exactly. Perfect. Well, with that, any final thoughts before we wrap up? Anything anybody want us to add? No?
I'm going to go with what Jim led with, which is culture trumps everything. Make sure you get the culture side right. Everything else can be solved, but you get that culture side right.
Yeah.
you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I think be honest with yourself. Survey, the situation. Just, be honest of what it is you're looking to accomplish, what's in the best interest for you and your clients, and then you got to make that decision. And doing nothing, that is a decision. Make sure it's intentional, though. You don't want someone else to force decisions on you.
For sure.
Well, I want to thank you all for your time. Jim, Mike, John, you guys added a lot. It's always helpful to have people who are really in the middle of this sharing their experience. And I also want to thank all of you for attending this episode of Bluespring Out Loud. Hopefully you'll come to future episodes and we'll keep it coming. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.